Hey guys, it's Kay from KS Anonymous, and I am back today with another episode of r/PettyRevenge. I reported my manager to the anonymous employee call line for smelling like cat pee. When I was a teenager, I used to work a minimum wage job for a large pharmacy chain. Like many 16-year-olds, I didn't really care about my job. I did it, but I also messed around a lot. I had one manager who was pretty hot or cold. Super nice one day, then super angry the next. The thing that did stay consistent was her stench. A strong smell of cat pee because of her 8 cats. Never knew why she smelled so disgusting until I found out that during the summer/fall, she turns off her hot water and doesn't shower to save money. She would only shower once a month. One day she was particularly on my case about fooling around, so I reported her to the hotline and basically said she smelled so bad her stench would waft into the aisles and the customers would leave. My store manager ended up having a talk with her and never smelled disgusting again. I mean, yikes. I have family members, actually, who have that problem. Like, I can't breathe around them because of how bad, like, the stench is, like, radiating off of them. So I believe you that it was bad. And it probably really was making some customers want to get out of there. I get that it was like for petty reasons, but at the same time, I feel like someone probably should have said something about it to that line or whatever, but way before then. Like, if it's that bad, you know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure most places have rules about proper hygiene. Obviously they can't exactly be like, did you take a shower today? But like, if you're smelling like cat pee from like 5 feet away, I'm pretty sure that that's not exactly compliant with company standards. I'm just saying. So at least, you know, she didn't smell after that. So I feel like this is a net positive. Park over the line. Good luck getting in your car. I work in an office park, and every day I am one of the first cars to arrive to my building, and every day I park in the same spot. It's one that I pull through, and it's next to a median that has a pipe that's about 3 feet tall. And if I open my car door as far as it will go, it would likely hit the pipe. However, I'm small enough that I never need to open my car door all the way. Oftentimes, this huge SUV will park next to me. He's often there first, and sometimes he's even in my spot. My office building contains the fitness center for the entire office park, so people in other buildings will sometimes be parked here before work. I say all this because I'm not positive this SUV guy works in my building or if he just uses the fitness center. Well, the other day I went to pull in my spot and the SUV is parked over my line, meaning I'll have very little space to open my car door. At first I parked close to the median so he'd have room to get in his car. His driver's side was next to my passenger side. Then I decided to back it up and pull as close as I could to the line while still remaining well within the boundaries of my own spot, making it virtually impossible for him to enter his car from the driver's side. I feel like there's always gotta be someone with some parking lot revenge and petty revenge. It just seems right. At least maybe they'll think about it when they have to get in their vehicle from the passenger side to be able to, you know, get in their vehicle. Maybe they'll be like, next time maybe I don't want to park over the line. So hopefully that worked out well. I'm just worried that something bad's gonna happen to your vehicle because of how close you're parked. Sent my primary school teacher a copy of my university diploma. As the Austrian school system may be unfamiliar to most, a short explanation. After primary school, children aged 10 will enter either Hauptschule or Gymnasium, a school not for performing sports, depending, among other things, on grades earned during the last year of primary school. This system is sometimes compared with the schools in Great Britain of the 1940 to 1960, with the gymnasium taking the place of the grammar school. The separation of the paths is not complete, but attendance at a gymnasium or equivalent is the standard needed for going to university. I have a slight hearing impairment and therefore had some troubles in school. Mind, this was in the 80s, so there were no concessions made. I was a good student, having above average grades. Ms. Baker, not a real name, my teacher in this last year of primary school, hated to have me in her class. First, I could not sing. She led the school choir. And second, I was a handicapped kid that they had failed to get rid of off to special education school. The first thing she did was assigning me a seat at the back of the room. All other kids were rotated regularly in seating. I stayed there. This led to some problems due to misheard instructions or words during dictation. At the end of the year in German, my grades were between good, equaling 2, and middling, equaling 3. Normally, in this situation, the student will be administered a short examination to decide the grade. Ms. Baker decided that I had not earned that chance to improve my grade with the explanation, "A disabled child has no place in gymnasium." So I had to go to Hauptschule. There I had a lot of good teachers, and got the rare chance to switch to gymnasium after 2 years, not a normal path. Graduated and went to university. Years later, after earning my master's, I decided to send a copy of my diploma/degree to Ms. Baker with a nice letter that the tone-deaf disabled pupil now has a master's degree. I'm only sorry that she died before I got my PhD. Now that is fantastic. I really like this story. In that you sent them your diploma or your degree, basically a copy, to say, like, you don't get to decide. Like, that makes me so angry, and I know teachers do this. I know this was actually a very common thing, especially before there was much understood about disability and those with different or special needs or whatever else, however you prefer to call it. And even still now this happens, I know, but it was really, like, overt back then, and the concept that someone can look at a child and say, like, you're not worthy, despite everything you try to do, you're not worthy enough to be put in this path, you're destined to fail, you're worthless, basically. Like, that makes me so angry, and I really hope that by the time that teacher had received the copy of the diploma certificate or whatever it would be called in this situation, I hope that she had changed her views on things. And even, whether or not, I really hope she remembered what she said to this person and that she was indeed quite wrong. And congratulations on your master's and your PhD. That is freaking amazing, and you are awesome. Orchid Killer. Just a heads up, this was typed on mobile and my formatting may not be the prettiest. I was inspired to write this post after my current partner asked if we wanted to buy an orchid, and I burst into laughter. After my freshman year of college, I was looking to move off campus since dorms are very expensive. A friend from the dorms called Aiden, names changed obviously, was very wealthy and his family bought a townhouse in our college town. He asked for me to move in and I agreed, especially because it would be significantly cheaper than most off-campus housing. I ended up moving into the basement and Aiden and another guy were upstairs. I soon found out how neurotic Aiden was. He was a neat freak and prone to anger issues. I don't consider myself very messy, but he was on a whole other level. No kitchen electronics could be on the counters and had to be put away at all times, including toasters, coffee machines, and water heater. No big deal, some people don't like clutter. He also insisted on having the entire sink cleaned and empty after every meal before you ate. He would throw my pots on the table while I was in the same room eating, telling me to effing clean up after yourself continuously. He would also get frustrated if he came home to cook and I was already making a meal and tell me to hurry up, can I not cook faster, etc. until I was done. Eventually, I had enough of this BS. Aiden had a girlfriend at the time named Melissa, and she was from a middle-class family from California. She eventually moved in due to issues with her own roommates and would harass me as well when her boyfriend was not there, lecturing me about how I needed to sweep and mop after every meal since I make a mess. Even a cold-cut sandwich. They eventually decided to get flowers for the townhouse. These were not your average supermarket flowers, but from florists in the area who charged a pretty penny. Aiden's family would cover the costs, and they got several plants, their favorite being this giant white orchid that is longer than my arm. It sat in the middle of the kitchen table. Aiden and Melissa took care of this thing every day, buying it plant food, measuring out water for it, everything you can think of. One day I was eating dinner with a cup of hot chocolate, and I accidentally spilled my hot chocolate near the plant. Aiden was watching TV, came in because of the noise, and lost his mind. He was screaming about how I'm going to replace this expensive orchid if it dies, how I can't take care of anything and don't care about his belongings, and tried threatening eviction. The property was managed by a third-party company who I signed the lease with, so I knew he couldn't evict me without due cause, as I was a model tenant who paid every month on time through the portal, kept my space clean, didn't smoke inside, no pets, etc. That was the last straw. The following week, I set up an alarm at 3 a.m., and I would go upstairs from my basement abode and pour salt on his plants, a little bit at a time to make sure they wouldn't die immediately. His orchid began to wither, slowly at first, and him and his girlfriend spent countless money and energy trying to keep it alive. Alas, I salted that effort to death over 2 weeks, along with every other plant in the house. They bought another orchid, and I gave it a week before I started my process again, killing yet another beautiful and expensive orchid. They repeated this process 4 more times until Aiden's family refused to get any more because they couldn't take care of their plants. The best part was, with their last orchid, I came home from classes one day to find Melissa and Aiden pouring their expensive plant food, holding up the wilted, dying plant, as Melissa screamed through her sobs, "Why can't I keep this effing plant alive?" As Aiden glared at me, interrupting their grieving process. I ran my butt down to my room and burst into laughter, and never saw another plant in that house for the rest of my lease. Edit, a few typos, and to clarify, they did not water it every day, but they did make sure it was the right humidity levels and measured out water. We live in a very dry state, so you have to take extra care for plants. Also, F Aiden. I don't know. It's just like toxic situation. Let's add some toxicity. I guess like I could see why this is amusing. You know what I mean? Like, you can't keep your stupid plant alive no matter how perfect you are. But like you were sabotaging it, and something about that, I don't know why it bothers me. It just does. Maybe I'm being completely unreasonable, because obviously Aiden was not a pleasant person to live with, was definitely a toxic individual, and clearly his girlfriend was as well. I don't know, something about it I just don't feel happy about. I don't know, maybe y'all can appreciate this better than me. She ruined a surprise party on purpose. This happened when I was a kid. I was just reminded of it. I was about 11, and my grandmother was about to turn 75. Our family is pretty scattered around, but we made a trip every year to see her in the summer while she was alive and have a family reunion. Now, this particular year, my mom, who is Granny's daughter, suggested we all return the month after the family reunion for her birthday and a family dinner. My mom's brother and her niece, not that brother's daughter, but daughter to her dead brother, immediately jumped all over the plans, invited half the town, and turned it into a massive surprise party, excluding my mom from the plans. My mom said nothing, and the plans continued. We went for the usual scheduled trip and the family reunion. We returned next month in time for the party. It was much bigger than intended, and I kept noticing my mom had this cat that ate the canary smirk on her face the entire time. We stayed in town about a week to spend time with her, and when we all were leaving, one of my aunts remarked that we really surprised Granny. It was then that my mom started cackling like the Wicked Witch of the West. It turns out that when we were there previously, my grandmother was sad that we were leaving. She told my mom that she didn't want everyone to leave until my mom took the opportunity to tell her, "Don't be sad, we're coming back in a few weeks for your birthday. Don't tell anybody. It's supposed to be a surprise, but they're throwing you a massive party." She told her the location, all the details, and everyone who was going to be there, including my uncle, whom she didn't see often. After telling us all the story and telling us to shut up after we complained, my aunt asked why she'd ruined the surprise on purpose. She just grinned and said, because her brother and her niece had no business ruining my plans. I find this the most amusing because I don't think it actually hurt anybody that much. I mean, clearly the aunt was probably irritated, like, why would you ruin our surprise? But like, it wasn't until after everything happened. So it's not like the party itself was ruined or anything. Probably grandma really appreciated knowing she had something to look forward to. I personally don't know if I like giant surprises out of nowhere thrown on me anyway, so I would have personally appreciated the quiet heads up on that. So I think it's kind of funny because the mom is like super satisfied with herself for people, having tried to take her plans and completely run it over and just leave her out completely. And so she felt great the whole time. Everyone else was having a great time because they thought they surprised the granny and had a great party. At the end, she got to have her moments, and really nothing super bad happened. So, I don't know. It's definitely kind of petty, and everybody is okay here, and it's okay with me, I guess. Teacher wants to be a bully? Good luck. When I was about 9 years old, I had a teacher who was a bully. He would ridicule people for getting answers right too often, screaming at them when they got them wrong. He was a real piece of work, but also made a lot of mistakes when teaching. I really hated this guy because he was just a thoroughly unpleasant and angry man. He hated me because I was, admittedly, a complete know-it-all, and I took every opportunity to call his mistakes out. He really hated that. He always wanted us to read books during registration. I was very bad at remembering to bring books to school. I got in trouble for this more than once. He threatened that if I didn't bring a book, he'd give me a dictionary to read. So the next day I walked in and got the dictionary off the shelf and cracked on. Then proceeded to correct his spelling. He often yelled at me and insisted he was right, so I just pulled out my trusty dictionary and showed him the entry. I continued reading the dictionary every day that he was my teacher. I was a stubborn child and I have no regrets. I feel like this is like slightly a crossover kind of with malicious compliance. Like, fine, I'll read the dictionary and I'll correct your spelling. You jerk! And now every single day you think this is a punishment? I'ma read this dictionary. Anyway, that is going to wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and drop a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Really quickly, I'd like to thank my patrons. Up on the screen, you should see my face palmers and my crazy case. Thank you all so much for supporting me in that way. If you're interested in becoming a patron, checking out the original posts from today's video, or sending me an email for possible inclusion in a future video, all of that information is in the description box, so be sure to check it out. And I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye!